Greetings, how are you? Can you hear me clearly? Peace, peace, everybody. Give it a few minutes before we get into our discussion. Peace, Dan. Peace, Gene. Yeah, I finally decided to go live. Made time in my busy schedule for this, so we're gonna, after a few minutes, we're gonna get straight to the point, go over a little something, and then take some questions, and that's about it. Well, let's see. Question: y'all can hear me? Yes or no? Can y'all hear me? Cool, cool. Just making sure it's my first time doing a live stream, so make sure everything working. All right, so excuse me. Let's start it up. Basically, I'm gonna discuss this from a different aspect. I know my brother Beniti did the discussion on Luciferianism and Sith sorcery. I'm gonna touch on vampiric sorcery and Sith sorcery and what is the connection. Well, as you know, in vampiric sorcery, uh, it is the ability to absorb energy. Now, they don't get it twisted where it's just human energy like chi, prana, things of that nature. It's the ability to absorb energy from anything and everything around you, living life force, from nature, from animals, from whatever. The most potent, however, is human energy only because we are more refined as far as our bodies are almost like a battery. So we contain and absorb more energy and give out more energy than the average, what would I say, average entity or sentient being. As a vampire, your main goal is to, especially in today's society, is to absorb energy to increase your own energy. For one, to empower yourself. For two, to be able to do the work necessary. I don't know how many of y'all feel drained sometimes when you wake up. How many of y'all feel tired even after you rested 7, 8, 9 hours, 6 hours, whatever the case is? One of the reasons is because what is around us. We have computers, we have televisions, we have our smartphones. There's constant radiation being sent out, and our bodies are like receivers. We receive these things, and some of it can cause a drainage or a power outage within your body. There's been studies, clinical psychological studies and other studies showing that when you stay on a computer for a long length of time, you all of a sudden can drop into different brain waves that are almost akin to sleep. So the longer you use a computer, the longer your body's being drained or the energy is being absorbed, taken out of you, where you can go into a sleep state or almost to a altered state of consciousness that you're easily being able to be programmed. While as a vampire, the main thing that you're trying to do is increase and charge your energy up so that you're not lacking or lagging any energy that you may have. And now it's more important than ever. So if I was to ask some of y'all, do you experience energy drain? I know some of y'all do because I've spoken to some of y'all personally, but anybody else, do you ever experience energy drain? Meaning you wake up in the morning and you're still fatigued. Even though you rested 8 hours, you still feel fatigued. All right, so Brother Dan verifies that. So this is what vampiric energy is really all about. It's absorbing that life essence within everything in and around you. Particularly, you could do it from human beings. It is one of the ways and methods to do that is astral projection or astral travel. Now, I made a video recently on that. One thing you want to make sure is when you astral travel that you've dealt a lot with your issues. You've dealt a lot with your pain, your trauma, your wounds, because there's entities vibrating at lower frequencies in the astral plane that tend to basically sit there and wait for people who are wounded children or wounded people emotionally or mentally or whatever the case may be. And they basically can try to manipulate and possess you or different kinds of things. So you want to make sure that before you get into the astral plane, you've done some work on yourself. You're more in control of yourself and more in control of your issues, trauma, pain, or problems. So when you do astral travel as in vampiric sorcery, one of the things you want to do is create a vampiric entity of yourself, or an animal form, or any kind of form you want to take other than your own body. You can create an astral body to your liking. And I choose to use a vampiric form because of, one, it causes certain kinds of reactions by certain people. Other reasons is because of the power and symbolism behind it. Other individuals can use a werewolf or wolf entity. Werewolves are also known as energy absorbers or drainers, and they cause more fright sometimes when you see a werewolf, let's say in the astral plane, than you would a regular person. So now the key thing is that you create this astral entity. Of course, your imagination has to be strong. Some of us, our imagination has become weaker and weaker due to the programming of society, programming of our own family and friends. Even your culture has some effect on your imagination. From when you were a young child, you were told to, put the little childish stuff away. Don't. That's childish. Or you're seeing spirits is not true, or you see energy is not true. See, that is detrimental to us now in this present day and time because of that family or cultural programming. Some of our gifts are laying dormant or latent, or we're afraid to use it because when we saw spirits when we were young, nobody ever gave an explanation to you what was happening. what was occurring and what you were seeing. So now we have fear to even see that again. So you have to have strong imagination when you're dealing with vampiric magic, or when you're going into the astral plane or astral travel. So when you're in this astral form, one of the ways to get into that astral form, like I said, is create that affirmation in your mind before you go to sleep. One of the things I tend to do is I affirm 9 times, 18 times, 27 times. Those are just numbers I choose to use. You could create your own number of chants or mantras, or however you want to repeat something that affirm it. What I mean by affirm it is not I'm going to astral travel. That means you really don't know if you're astral traveling or not. You're still kind of putting a request or hoping you do. You have to basically affirm that you've already done the thing. It's almost like you're affirming that it's been done. You're just saying it to yourself so that you can alter your state of consciousness as you're falling into sleep. You can't say, I want to. Well, that's like asking Santa, I want some gifts. That shit is not going to really happen. You have to be able to affirm it for real as if it's happened already, not putting any doubt, because what your subconscious mind is recording is what you're really intending, not what you're saying out your mouth. You can say anything out your mouth, but your subconscious mind really records what your intention truly is. This is why some people can say, I don't want to be late to work, but they're still using a negative affirmation in the fact you're saying, I don't, right? And don't, sometimes your mind records it as, I actually don't want to, I actually am doing the very thing I don't want to do. Like, in other words, I don't want to be late to work, but I am late to work. So it's like I'm defeating myself. You have to say, I'm on time for work. Same thing with astral projection, astral travel. You have to put things in affirmative as if it's already happened. Then after I affirm that 9 times and I create the intention, usually in your sleep, as you're fading off, you can actually start to pull your astral body out of your physical body as you're fading off. What it is not that you're really asleep, but you're like in an altered state of consciousness where your physical body can rest and you can project. When you project, you have to have a goal. You just can't say, I want to astral travel and this is so joyous, because you might end up in some serious crap. What you should say is, this is my intention and my goal for astral traveling. You have to have an actual projection or actual target that you're trying to accomplish. You're not just out there freestyling. This is not, Wizard of Oz and Cinderella and all this. This is some real stuff. So when you do that, you have to be able to pinpoint your target and go forward. Your desire has to be strong to get to your target. Well, once you get to your target, you have to be able to absorb that energy. How do you absorb the energy? One of the ways to absorb that energy, depending on the purpose of you doing that. Some of y'all may want to absorb sexual energy. Some of y'all freaky like that. It's all good. So what you do is, when you get to your target in the astral plane or astral, is you basically see the root chakra, the root to the sacral or the navel chakra. Those areas are higher sexual energy. So you project a tentacle or an arm or some kind of thing right to the root chakra to absorb the sexual energy. Okay? It's almost like you're putting like a tube or a hand or something there that you can visualize the energy coming back into you. Now, if you want to utilize some different kind of energy, the solar plexus is always a powerful area to take energy from. I would say the crown, but the problem with the crown chakra is connected to the brain, which storehouses the information from the mind. And person's mind may be effed up, and all those thoughts and information and self-degradation that a person may have passes into you. Then you start wondering why you're starting to feel the same way. So that's why I don't usually don't utilize the crown chakra area when you're trying to do vampiric magic in the astral plane. It can sometimes backfire on you. The solar plexus to the root, depending on what you're trying to do, are the two most effective. Now, being that said, how is that connected to Sith sorcery, which my brother Beniti touched on yesterday? Well, in Sith sorcery, there's a certain magic done or certain sorcery done that's called binding the spirit or binding the energy. In Sith sorcery, one of the things you're trying to accomplish is to increase your power. And one of the ways to do that is to bind energy from living entities, from spirits, from anything you can. You bind that energy to you so that you almost become one with the energy. And you, however, have to have a strong mind and have to be sound mind and have to be in control of yourself, because if, let's say, you absorb a spirit, okay, the problem with that is the spirit can be more dominating than you, have more power than you, and you can easily fall victim to that spirit's whims, requests, and find yourself doing crazy things. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that you're in control of yourself, or as we say on the show, mastering yourself, mastering and having control of yourself. Because if you are able to master and control yourself, then you are able to, when you bind a spirit, as in Sith sorcery, they do this, they bind the spirit or the energy to them, you're the master and control over that. So now what you're doing is when you bind the spirit to you, you're acquiring all the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and any psychic powers or any other powers that spirit may have. You bind it to you, where you actually now are partaking of that energy, that knowledge, that wisdom, and being able to utilize it for your personal life. It's very similar, because in Sith sorcery, the object is to always increase or empower yourself. It's always to raise up off of your weaknesses. Vampiric energy is also to raise up off of your weaknesses and to empower yourself from energy, from knowledge, from wisdom, from things of that nature. In vampiric sorcery, ancestral connection is very important. In Sith sorcery, your ancestors are basically your guides. They give you the information, they guide you, they leave records behind, known as holocrons, and they give information where you can increase your power, your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Those are very important procedures and processes to understand when you're moving forward. In vampiric sorcery, it is very related to Sith sorcery. This is why basically they're the same thing. One of the main archetypes of vampiric sorcery is Set, or Sitech, or Sitesh, or Seth, which is very phonetically similar to Sith. Now, George Lucas and these other individuals had to have studied. He is from California, and you do realize that the Temple of Set and that the Satanic church or the Satanic order was started there by Anton LaVey in the 60s. George Lucas, living in that area, had to have encountered this information. And this is why the Sith colors are very similar to the Temple of Set and other Setian orders that utilize the red and black. Okay? The Sith utilize the red and black. The Sith utilize, if you look closely at the Sith order, you see the chaotic star, the chaos star, or sigil that is used by chaos magicians. See, it's all intertwined. You just have to be able to look. As a black adept on the left-hand path, you should be able to utilize any system, any method for your growth. You should be able to utilize anything. There should be no restrictions to what you want to do. Now, certain traditions, there are restrictions. For example, Palo Mayembe, which is something I came through, is restricted insofar as that you do have to be initiated, and there's certain traditions that you're going to have to adhere to. I couldn't stay with that any longer because I don't like to follow people, and I don't like to have to rely on somebody else to do work for me, or for me to be able to go to another level. I had enough of that. I went through enough organizations and did all the traditional aspects of organizations and sacred or secret orders, things like that. I'm done with that. I want to master the self. So if you're interested, like Brother Gene, if you're interested in Palo, you may want to seek a temple or house near you. Now you're going to basically have to humble yourself and say, you know what, I'm doing this just for the knowledge, not to become traditionalized and dogmatic again and follow all these rules and regulations. But for the time being, you humble yourself to get the knowledge. If that's what you want, if that's what you're seeking, to get the knowledge necessary to be able to go through the initiations, to be able to get what you need. And then when you're ready, you can leave that, if that's your choice. You can abstract that information, walk through it, get the secrets that you need on how to work certain things, and utilize it in your own personal work. Vampyric magic deals with, yes, some of them have covens or they have organizations or orders. It's your choice if you want to join that. It's your choice if you want to be a part of that. But no way, shape, or form you should have to do that, because vampires are also individuals where they do things as individuals. They're solitary practitioners, a lot of them, but they do come together in a coven sometimes. Depends what you need. Okay, the goddess Kira. Some vampiric. I'll give you a vampiric technique. It's called, some of them they call it glamour. Okay, glamour is being able to seduce somebody just by your eyes and implanting a thought in their head. Some of y'all do this naturally. So if you're asking a question, 9 times out of 10, you're doing this naturally. You just need to hear it for your own mind to confirm, yo, I'm good at this. I just do this naturally. In other words, okay, when you see an individual and you like, okay, let's just say hypothetically, you see this dude, he's attractive. I'm talking to Goddess Kara. I ain't talking to dudes now. I'm talking to Goddess Kara. You see a dude, he's attractive, or a female, whatever your choice is. I personally, that's your choice. I'm just saying, if you see what you see, you like. One of the things, before you even get in front of this person, you spot them, let's say they're about 100 feet away from you. You start to implant the thought in their mind by projecting into their solar plexus, their root chakra. You start to project your energy into those areas that can plant a thought in their mind. And I'll give you how simple it is. Next time you're around a person that you may feel like that, try this. You see them from 100 feet away, you say, okay, I'm going to make this person smile at me or holler at me. They're going to do one or the other. Your choice. You project that into their solar plexus or their root chakra, depending what you're trying to get from them, what kind of energy you want back from them. Once you project the thought, you keep repeating this until you get almost directly near them. Once you get in front of them, 9 times out of 10, depending on how strong your desire and your will and your intention is, they will look at you and smile, or they will speak. Now, when it comes to vampiric magic, I have to be honest. Some sisters have this natural power of seduction more than men ever could. Just being real. Because on this planet, the one thing that this whole planet revolves around is usually the yoni. Sorry, but that's the truth. It revolves around the yoni. Now, you may say, okay, well, about somebody who's homosexual? Even then, 9 times out of 10, a homosexual is attracted to somebody who has more of the feminine energy than a masculine energy. So it's still looking for the vibrational frequency of that yoni effect. And you have to understand now that it's all in your mind. The desire and intention starts from your mind outward. So one of the techniques is glamour. It's a form of seduction. Okay. Another one, which we discussed a little earlier, is astral projection or astral travel. You have to become proficient as a vampiric sorcery or even dealing with Sith sorcery to be able to project in the astral plane. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit because I'm not one of these moralistic, overly loving kind of person. What I mean by that is this. You have to check yourself. And what I mean by that is you have to understand what real compassion is and fake compassion. Real compassion is when you've actually experienced what rage is, what anger is, what love, what all these extreme forms of emotions can be. You've experienced it to the point that you can really have compassion for somebody who had rage and did some stupid or committed some stupid act because of that rage. If you understand the rage within yourself, you can understand the rage in that person and have true compassion for their situation. Not some, I just gotta be compassionate and love everybody because that's what I was told to do. Bullshit. That kind of compassion is fake. It's not real. It's more a selfish kind of compassion because you want some props back for it. The reason I bring that up is because when you're dealing with vampiric magic, Sith sorcery, a lot of the morals that we've been taught, you're going to have to kind of investigate and see if there's something you were programmed and if it's really you. And you're going to have to put some of those morals to the side to do some of this work. Because some people have a problem with saying, oh, well, I just can't go absorb energy from somebody else. Really? Really? Is that true? Well, you do it all the time and don't even realize it. When you shake the hand of a person, one person can feel a charge and the other person can feel a drain just from shaking that person's hand, if you really pay attention to it. That person who feels a charge actually just drains some energy from you. It's that quick and that easy. That's one other technique, some of the other techniques in vampire magic that is utilized. Shaking the hands of somebody so you can transfer the energy. If your mind is intending on taking some of this energy from this person, when you shake the hand, you can actually feel the energy coming up into your own body through the handshake. And if you feel that it's wrong to take energy, don't have sex. Because when you're having sex, somebody's taking somebody's energy depending on the position of sex that is being utilized. For example, if a man's on top, he's basically taking a lot of the energy from you. If you're on top as a female riding him, you're taking more of his energy from him. So you have to understand this vampiric magic is found in very different forms of everyday life. If you start to pay attention from here on out, you'll start to realize these things and you'll start to say, word, I didn't realize that this is something naturally that I've been doing. Listen, brothers, if you honest, don't lie. Some of y'all been with sisters that after you had sex with them, your ass went straight to sleep. That really happened, not because, oh, she wore me out or I blew her back out. Bullshit. The reason that happens because she drained your ass. You asleep, she over here on the computer typing, she listening to music, she dancing, singing, and your ass is snoring. That's a form of vampiric magic. It's that easy. But we don't pay attention to these things because, one, we might have never been informed what vampiric magic is. Two, we don't realize how easy we transfer or absorb energy on our everyday basis. And three, our morals get in the way and say that's wrong. But when you're having sex, all the morals go out the way a lot of times for people, and y'all just banging it out. And still, somebody's taking energy from at one point or another. So really understand this. Yes, God is care, you can do that. Because one of the things is visualization is key in any form of magic. Specifically, more so in vampire magic. If you visualize, let's say, as she said, her being on top or riding the man, then it can produce more energy within your body. What do I mean by that? Well, there's been scientific studies done that visualization is akin to an actual physical effect. There was a study done where they had an individual plugged up to sensors, and they asked the athlete to visualize running a race. He was no, I think it was a female, or can't remember. Anyways, they were running a race in their mind, visualizing it. The sensors recorded the same muscles firing as if that individual is actually running the race. This is how powerful your visualization can become the more you work at it. So yes, if you visualize yourself on top, then what happens is your body actually will react as if you're actually almost doing the physical act itself, thus producing the effect you want of absorbing energy. So you have to be able to really visualize things when you're working vampiric magic, magic in general, sorcery, whatever you want to call it. You have to be able to really use your visualization skills. And Goddess Kara just verified that yes, sex can give you super amount of energy while the guy is knocked the F out. And there's a reason for that. I mean, listen, man. I don't care what people say, I gotta keep it real. If you brothers really think that you the one working out a female, yeah, it can happen, but most of the time, she working your ass. Okay? It is harder for a woman to reach orgasm. As a matter of fact, according to clinical studies, they say that about 85 to 86% of women, or it could be even higher, have never experienced an orgasm. So when that woman is nutting, in other words, as some people would like to say, she's really not orgasming. She's just, like, lack of better words, busting a nut. An orgasm is something on a whole higher level that her whole body feels it and actually can almost go into convulsions and cause an altered state of consciousness within her. She is the gateway to bring things into the physical, but she needs the seed from the light or the physical to bring that through. But if you understand that science, you understand that if she reaches an orgasmic state, can transfer energy at a higher rate than the man can. So that being said, I don't know how we ended up on sex magic, but vampire magic incorporates sex magic, so it's all good. That being said, in your intercourse or coitus, scientific term for it, a man should never ejaculate unless the woman has at the least orgasm 3 times or more. The very least should be 3 times. The more a woman orgasms, the higher her energy is increased. Now, the world over, mostly the world over, you will always see the traditional depictions of a female on top of a male in a sexual position. Most of the time, this is the depiction. There's reasons for that. It's because of the transference of energy, also the transference of the feminine and masculine forces. That's a whole nother topic. Maybe we'll discuss that in one of the other live sessions. So now with that said, I choose to be happy. Yes, intention and visualization do work hand in hand. First of all, in Sith sorcery and vampiric sorcery, desire is the most important thing. Your desire should be so strong that if you don't achieve or reach your state of purpose or goal being accomplished, it causes pain to you. That's how strong should it be. But in order to even have a desire, you have to visualize that desire. So the stronger your visualization is, the stronger your desire becomes. Does that make sense? If you visualize something so strong that it seems so real, your desire for it to happen or manifest in the physical is that much more potent and more effective. The desire builds that. The intention builds that because of what you're visualizing, that you could almost taste, see, feel, smell, hear exactly what you want or desire it. So they both always have worked hand in hand, and both should be cultivated to become more proficient. Your visualization skills should be really cultivated to become more proficient. What has happened is this: we have taken away those visualization skills, or were taken away from us because of our family, our programming of society, and things of that nature. That everything is basically projected for you through television, through movies, things of that nature. So when our visualization is done, sometimes what we're visualizing is already pre-programmed to come out in your visualization, meaning you see a movie coming out and you play it into your visualization. You see, that's why you should find ways to balance out watching TV or movies so much with actual live physical work, meaning doing things that can spark your imagination, your visualization. Go out into nature, go to the ocean, go up a mountain, whatever you feel, do that to desensitize your mind from all this crap we're overloaded with, and you can start sparking your own imagination. I choose to be happy. You can definitely utilize your frustrations and anger when you aren't getting results. I'll give you an example. One of anger and in Sith sorcery, this is one of the things they claim and state a lot. Your anger gives you focus. Remember that. Why was that said? I think Darth Sidious said that in Revenge of the Sith. Go back and watch that. When he's discussing or talking to Anakin Skywalker, he said, your anger gives you focus. There's a reason why anger gives you focus. When your anger reaches a peak, you see nothing but what you're angry about. All this distraction is now eliminated. So if you channel that anger towards you accomplishing some results or work, you understand that anything that's distracting you is now minimized. Your anger is more pinpointed, more focused to the intended result. All this language in our, all this talking in our mind, all these distractions are more eliminated when you use that anger and channel it towards what you're trying to accomplish. So this is why you have to be able to bypass a lot of the bullshit we were taught and say, you know what? Anger is not that bad. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I normally don't share personal experiences, but I did a ritual with Sekhmet. It was some time ago, because one of my weaknesses was always anger and rage. Okay. I come from a group of feisty people. Some of y'all know Puerto Ricans. They can be very feisty and very angry, violent type people. I'm just being real. Anyways, that anger and rage will come out sometimes at the wrong time. Mainly road rage. Living up north, y'all know how crazy people drive. Living in Florida, it's even worse, because you got people from all over the United States trying to drive in this Florida, and it just doesn't mix sometimes. All right. So, anyways, I have to take that anger and rage that I would experience sometimes, and I started to channel it to accomplish work when I felt I was being lackadaisical, procrastinating, not utilizing my time wisely. When I got angry enough, trust me, I accomplished everything that I set out to accomplish. Because in this society, through religion exclusively, or mostly, I should say, you're taught to suppress your anger. Anger is akin to evil. Don't become angry. Suppress your anger. You know how bullshit that is? Y'all know, because y'all heard us say this over and over. Y'all probably seen these quotes yourselves. Anything, and I mean anything you basically ignore, anything you repress, anything of that nature will always come back out. What you resist will persist. Bottom line, what you resist will persist. That was said for a reason, because the very thing you're resisting, if you have anger problems and you're told to just meditate it away or suppress it, or it's not real, or don't feel it, and you keep suppressing it, it's going to come out in absurd ways that could be detrimental to you. On the left-hand path, we don't do that. We encounter and embrace those aspects of ourselves to understand it in totality, to be able to control it and use it. So this is how you take a weakness like anger and turn it into a strength. You take it, you embrace it, understand it in totality, and then you control it and use it when it's necessary. For example, if somebody is threatening your life and you've all your life been told turn the other cheek, but this is about to get violent where it could be life-threatening, you better be able to access that anger and rage out of a drop of a dime. So the more control you have, the more easily you can bring it out, or the more easy you can control and utilize it when it's necessary for whatever means you want. Let's be real. The state of the world today, you better be able to utilize that anger and rage out of a drop of a dime, because people are literally losing their minds. If y'all thought if you thought this winter was bad up north, and you thought last year down here in Florida was bad for hurricanes, it's only going to keep getting worse, because the more effed up we are as human beings, the more nature reacts to that. The more you're going to see that happening. The more crazy storms you're going to see coming out of nowhere. It's going to get rough. But the only thing you can do is master yourself. Stop worrying about this person, that person, that person. Master yourself. Take control of yourself and master you. Because if you master you, that can cause a ripple effect where you can share it with somebody else who's curious. Well, how did you master yourself? How did you overcome this? When you're able to share that, then you really cause a ripple effect, because now you're creating masters over themselves. And when people master themselves, they're more in control of themselves, more in control of their rage, their anger, their perversions, they're more in control of their emotions. We start to bring things into a harmonious level on this planet. But it ain't going to happen right now, because people are out their mind, literally. So, any other questions? I'm going to wrap this up in a little bit. So any other questions? I'm going to take questions now. So tap them into the chat room if you have any. Okay, distant feeding. Well, in vampiric magic, you could easily distant feed from a distance. Like I said, you just have to be able to project, visualize, create tentacles. What I mean by that is like octopus tentacles. Be able to create those tentacles to come out of your body and project them to the intended target. It takes time. I'm not saying y'all gonna be able to do this overnight, but it takes time to be able to take the tentacle, visualize the tentacle coming out of your body and projecting it into the intended target, and you can feed from that distance and bring it into you. Or you can astral travel to your target and feed directly. But you can do both. the tentacles. Okay, let me say this: when you astral travel, you weren't here earlier, but when you astral travel, you should be able to create a different astral form than the form that you're in your physical body. Meaning, when you astral travel, you can create a different form. Some take a werewolf, some take the form of a vampire, some take the form of a bat, some take the form of uh, different animals, a crow, whatever the case may be. When you astral project, you're using that form. In that form, you already have tentacles like octopus arms. Those are called tentacles that are able to come out of your astral form into the intended target, almost like a tube, but it's like an arm that takes the energy from the intended target. Okay, one of the good books to get is this book right here, Kemetic by Michael W. Ford. Now, trust me, I don't agree with everything he says. He's a little extreme sometimes, but for the basics and getting started, very good book. Another good book to get is Vampyric Magic by Father Sebastian. Vampyric Magic by Father Sebastian. Remember that. There's also another book called Psychic Vampire Codex by Michelle Bellinger. I can't remember the exact spellings right now, but look it up. These are good books to get yourself started. But like we always say, they're just books. They're just guides giving you little simple formats. You have to create your own method. Some people that do vampire magic, they use some of the Romanian gypsy folklore. Myself, I use the Kemetic or Egyptian or African aspects. What that simply means is that when you go into Africa and parts of Africa like Kemet, there are certain archetypes, certain myths that talk about energy being utilized or absorbed. For example, in Kemet, you have the Pharaoh Unas. Okay, the Pharaoh Unas in his pyramid text describes absorbing or feeding off of the gods, absorbing the energy of the gods to take the energy of the gods unto himself, to become powerful like the gods. Clear case of vampiric magic. Then you have Sekhmet. Sekhmet is in the myth went on a rampage to destroy human beings for disrespecting Ra or Ray, however you want to pronounce it to make you happy, and went on a bloodlust. Well, the blood is symbolic of the life force because within the blood is found the chi or the prana or the sechem, the life force, the power. The life force is within the blood. Not that you literally drink blood. It's the energy that is contained within the blood. So Sekhmet is also another one, okay, that utilizes the mythos of the vampire. So I connect to those two. Anpu, which is symbolic of death. And if you know anything about vampire or vampire mythology, is connected to death. A vampire rises in the evening from the coffin, symbolic of a dead state, arising in the evening to a living state. All symbolism, and those who walk through Freemasonry or different orders understand this. From you come from a dead or a non-existing state to a living perpendicular state. This is symbolic of raising from a mentally dead state to a living state to absorb the living life force to transform yourself to even a greater level than once you were. Okay, I choose to be happy. Okay, so when we're out in public, how should we absorb energy without losing it? Okay, First of all, when you're out in public, people all around you, you have to be able, one, if you know somebody or introduce yourself to somebody, you can utilize contact, shaking their hand, brushing up against them by mistake. It's not really a mistake, is it? Brush up against them. And if you're intending and visualizing and focusing on taking the energy, once you make contact, you actually can take the energy and you will feel it charging up through your hand, arm, up into you. Another way, visual absorbing. What does that mean? You visualize the energy coming from their solar plexus, their root chakra, whatever your intention, what kind of energy you're seeking, and you visualize the energy coming into you from their root chakra, their solar plexus chakra, whatever. You visualize it coming into you. Now, once it's inside of you, you feel it inside of you. You have to know how to close the gates, so to speak. What does that mean? That means once it's inside you, you must visualize the energy contained within one of your chakras. Meaning you can store it in your root chakra. If you find yourself low of sexual energy, you can store it in your root chakra. You can store it in your solar plexus. You can store it wherever you choose to and visualize the gate closing in that chakra and absorbing and maintaining that energy there. A lot of this has to do with visualization, imagination, and intention and desire. Those four things are very key when you're working vampiric sorcery. Any sorcery, but more so vampiric sorcery, is very important when you work it and utilize this. No, Gene Butler, doesn't mean you can't progress in vampirism. Like we just said, there's different ways to absorb energy. It's just one of the most proficient ways, but you could do this through physical contact. You could do this through sex. Let me explain this to y'all. The reason I deal with vampirism, Kemetic vampirism specifically, or African vampirism, is because it encompasses all of the things that I have been working for years as far as magic. Vampirism encompasses ancestral magic or ancestral connection. Okay, it's very important aspect of vampirism. Be able to communicate with your ancestors, to receive the knowledge, the wisdom, understanding, and the things necessary to increase yourself as a person. It encompasses sex magic. And you know the art of sex, you understand how closely it is related to vampirism. It encompasses necromancy, which is an aspect of ancestral, but it's a little different. Necromancy is working with the spirits, not just working with your ancestors. It's two different things. You can work with just various spirits, but they're not from your ancestral bloodline, okay? It encompasses the Kemetic aspect, if that's the route you choose to go. It also encompasses the Dravidian aspect, or some would call Hindu, but I'm going more to the original form, utilizing Kali and Shiva. Kali is another form of a vampiric aspect. Shiva, in its original form, Shiva's original form was Rudra, which was more of the werewolf hunter aspect, or wolf hunter aspect. Okay? So when you understand that, you understand that there's not just one way to practice vampirism. It's not all about absorbing energy. That is the main part, but there's other parts you work through it that increases your energy as well. You could be one of those people, like through Sith sorcery, that just works on absorbing energy from spirits. There's one major thing, and listen, I don't know if people have told y'all this before, but you could go research it. There's one major thing that a lot of spirits seek, and that is sexual energy. They seek sexual energy. This is why spirits tend to hover around places of sex. Okay? This is why spirits tend to hover around sex workers. This is why spirits tend to be in those areas, because they feed off of sexual energy. This is an incubus and succubus on a whole nother level. And this is what they feed off of. Certain spirits, like for example in voodoo or voodoo or voodoo, you have the gede or the gidi or however people want to pronounce it. You have those spirits, and within those spirits, there's spirits in there that specialize in just sexual energy. And the only way you can work with them is by feeding them sexual energy. So you have to understand, vampirism also has incorporated some aspects of voodoo or voodoo or voodoo. It does incorporate that in there. Okay? And you can work with Baum Samedi, as it's said in Creole, or Baron Samedi, as you say it in English. You can work with these Gades, Maman Brigitte, to take and work with sexual energy from spirits. So you could be one of those who just absorbs energy from spirits. That's still vampirism. So, exactly. When it comes to books, you should only take what you need and leave the rest. That's how you should always do it. Because if you stick to a book, then it's no longer you working it. You're working their magic, not your magic. Yes, Hansu or Hensu can definitely another aspect that can be utilized. If you're relating it to Hansu or Hensu, the moon energy, one of the aspects of that is how to absorb energy from the night. In the night, there's different vibrational frequencies and energies that are more utilized and can be utilized to work your vampiric magic. There's different ways to do that. One of the things is you have to be able to go out into the night when it's more tranquil, more peaceful. If you live in the cities, that's harder to do, but there's ways you can go, places you can find to do that. And you could actually sit and work with absorbing the energy of the night, the people that are out in the night, the different animals that are predators, they're out at the night. The prey of those animals are out at the night. All this energy is increased in certain times in the night, specifically after midnight. So Hansu is definitely one you could utilize when you learn to work with the moon forces or the different lunar forces, lunar frequencies and vibrations. Now, any other questions before I wrap this up? I'm about to wrap this up in a little bit, a few minutes. Brother getting hungry. I got to make something to eat. Any other questions? You're welcome, brother or sister. I think it's sister. Yeah, Gaia Ganj. Yeah, I'm gonna say sister. Well, anyways, yeah. Night deities and chaos deities. Those two deities are very good to work with vampiric magic. There are certain deities that have different aspects of the evening or night, whether it's the moon, whether it's different aspects of the night or different times of the night. There's chaos beings or destructive energies or beings that you work with. When you work with these, there's a lot of transformation that can occur and growth that can occur with you. One of the main things is learning chaos or destructive archetypes. When you work vampire magic or any form of magic, one of the first things that you should encounter or steps you should take is destruction. What does that mean? Well, in the nation of gods and earth, there's a philosophy: build and destroy. Before you build something, you usually have to destroy it before you build it back up. So if you're working on vampire magic or any form of magic, one of the first things you should do is destroy the things that have been holding you back, your obstacles, your blockages, your weaknesses. Learn how to master those things. Those chaos and destructive archetypes or deities are most and more proficient in helping you achieve that goal, to achieve that result. I don't know anything about mermaid magic other than this one little thing when it comes to working vampire magic. In Santeria, they have Olokun. Olokun is more not this, and in Lukumium, I should go back further to Ifa because Yemaya was more the ocean, but Olokun was the abyss of the ocean. Okay? And they were actually masculine and feminine forces to bring the harmony. Olokun is an aspect you should investigate further. You're going to have to dig deeper because there's not a lot of information, because in the West, they merged Yemaya Olokun as one instead of keeping it separate the way it used to be. So, but that's one aspect. Also in Voodoo or Voodoo, there's a lot of the Loa are from or connected to water spirits. Okay, and in those, there's some that work with water and absorbing energy. So you're gonna have to investigate that. I can't remember offhand right now, but there is some that are dealing with mermaids and water energy about absorbing and using in a kind of a vampiric sense. But you're gonna have to further investigate that. Can't remember offhand right now. But Olokun, I know, deals with the abyss and deals with things of that aspect. Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times? And get to 5 and it's a wrap. Going to 4? All right, 5. All right, so next week, I'll be doing another live session. If y'all have any topics you would like for myself to discuss, it doesn't have to be vampiric, it could be anything. But if you want to stay more at a vampiric angle, that's cool too. You hit me up at darkoccultist99 at outlook.com. Once again, that's darkoccultist99 at outlook.com. Give me suggestions for topics, okay? I don't sit here during the week saying, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to study this. And a lot of this is just freestyle from years of studying and practicing, things like that. So the night before, even the same day, the topic just comes to me. But if y'all have something specific, hit me up. Say, yo, can we build on this? Can we talk about this? Sure enough, we'll do that. So I'd like to thank y'all. If y'all have any questions from today, hit me up today about that on darkoccultist99 at outlook.com. I'll see y'all next week. Spread the word. Other people are interested in topics like this, let them know. All right. Peace.